So now they're in the promised land, and of course the first city that they're going to address is going to be Jericho. Jericho is in the Jordan Rift. It's actually in the deserty part of the Jordan before they get up to the promised land. Jericho is the first city that you would enter if you're coming from the east. So it's a really important city. And so this is a city that it's going to be very symbolic as well. So Joshua is going to conquer the city. Now the way it's going to be done is in 7 days. Each day they're going to be going around the city, and they're going to march around the city. So 7 is very, very symbolic. Where have we heard 7 before? Well, we heard the 7 before was in the creation. Remember at the beginning of the Pentateuch, that begins even the book of the Genesis, we have the 7 days that God created the garden. So here, again, it's going to be God's creation. God is the symbol of the 7 marches of the 7 processions, is that God is going to create a garden. So that's the symbol. Now, it's really important to see a lot of symbolic language going on in this. We take a lot of times that the city is going to be destroyed, and people get really upset with this book because a lot of people die, there's a lot of destruction, there's a lot of death, even animals and all the kids and children. Why would God want to do that? Why would God wipe out everything? Again, this is very, very symbolic. So and the 7 really brings us back to how God creates. So let's take a look at creation for a minute just to see how the symbolism really evolves in this next book. Now in creation, God saw that there was darkness everywhere. There was no light at all. So God had to create light. So God created light. What happens when you turn the light on in the room? What happens to the darkness? Of course, the darkness goes away. It's the opposite. So God enters into a land and is going to occupy this land. All the evil, all of that, the darkness, the symbolism of the darkness has to leave. It has to go away. And so all the death and dying is a representative of that which it's a cleaning, it's a cleansing of all of the poisons that are in this land that are anti-God. Now remember, the people in this district are worshiping false gods. If you remember, God, the false gods are really powers. They're these powers that go beyond the human ability. The power they worship the sun because the sun was powerful, the wind was powerful, lightning is powerful, water can be very destructive and powerful. So they worshiped all of these certain powers. But now when God is entering into this land, those powers are all controlled now. Those no longer powers that go beyond God. So God now is the new power that is taking over this land. So it's so think of it as it's the destruction of chaos, and it's going to be now order and tranquility and peace and growth. In a death zone, nothing can live. But when God takes it over now, everything has life and it has prosperity. So God is going to be entering in, and the symbol of that entry is it has to be a big change. All of the evil and the poison, the darkness is going to be destroyed and leave because light has now entered the land. So that's what all of this symbolism really is. And so what God is doing in these 7 marches represents the 7 days of creation, that God is now creating a garden for his people to live in peace with him. So that's the idea of this. So Joshua goes through all goes through all of the different cities and conquers this land. And as he's doing this, as he's taking the poisons out, God is now reigning supremely through this area. So now they occupy the land of Canaan, the promised land. And now what Joshua is going to do is he's going to divide this territory up into 12, really it's going to be 11 spaces. There's going to be 12 tribes. One doesn't have a place, which is the Levites, priests. They don't own property. So there's going to be 11. It's going to divide up the land into 11 parts and represent 11 tribes. And then the 12th tribe that doesn't have land is going to be the Levites, the priestly tribe. So he divides it all up. And then at the end of the book, Joshua gives a long speech, be faithful to God. This is your new home. God is present with you. You're back in the garden again. So enjoy God's presence and to the people. And so that's how the book ends. So now in the next video, I'm going to explain why we need the problem that comes up. Joshua is not replaced. We had Moses, we had Joshua, and then there's nobody. Nobody replaces Joshua. And this causes a vacuum, a leadership vacuum, and we're going to see it's going to turn into a big disaster. So we'll take a look at that in the next video.